Thanks for joining us on My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live as India begin their home season with a win in Mohali, beating South Africa in the second T20 International by 7 wickets. The star of the show was none other than Captain Virat Kohli, getting 72 in that chase of 150. I'm joined by Bhattacharjya and Pommie Mbangwa. Here's a look at the scorecard: 149 for 5, India needing 150 to win. Virat Kohli not out on 72. Shikhar Dhawan going out to an exceptional catch by Killer Miller, getting a great catch there. Shreyas Iyer not out on 16. Shamsi getting just the 1 wicket. Fekluk Wayo getting the 1, and of course Fortune getting 1. India winning by 7 wickets. We have to start, guys, by talking about Captain Virat Kohli. Just some of the stroke play, Pommie, it was sublime, and how he shifts into white ball cricket. It's just it's like they're made for each other, the kind of shots he plays.
Yeah, look, I think you could say that about him. It doesn't matter which format he's playing. You know, he stands out. Him, Steve Smith.
Yeah,
these guys are absolutely fantastic in that they're able to just shift, as you say. And Virat, from a long time ago, I think back actually to Virat coming into the Indian side, having been a World Cup winning captain as an under-19 guy, and that kind of set him on his way. And then he turned up in the Indian setup. He wasn't short, you know, he wasn't kind of too backward in coming forward. He'd always put himself forward, and I'm the guy, I'll get the runs, in a team that was full of superstars who, for the time he had grown up, had been the guys in the team. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when you take up the game and these guys are stars of the Indian side, and you then get there and these guys are still stars of the Indian side, kind of gives you a sense of how big these fellas are. Still, he wasn't overawed, and now he is the star in the Indian side and still doing it. And his hunger for runs is what I think is incredible and quite obviously insatiable, and he just keeps churning them out. No doubt about it. And I often think, you know, being India captain must be very hard. Being an India player is very hard. And there's this weight of expectation, and with Kohli particularly, there's this weight of expectation. I wonder if there's a time when people just sort of say, hey, hold on, okay, take away the India captaincy and just see this guy who plays cricket, who wants to make runs, who has the same anxieties and so forth. Does anyone tell him, like, look, buddy, you're really good. You've done really well, you know. I hope there's someone around who
I think everyone's telling
you know what I mean? I hope that there is, rather than this constant, ooh, he hasn't done that, and ooh, he hit that to cover, and ooh, what about this? Ooh, he said that, and well, and you kind of lose focus, or you lose sight of just how much the guy has done as a cricketer from whence he started to now, and held up those standards. It's absolutely brilliant.
That shot, Joy, this one, pick up.
I mean, I always say that in KKR, when we were there in the first few years, we used to say, no ball to Virat Kohli within 2 feet of the off stump. It's because his pickup shot was his shot. And then after that, we'd find when they'd bowl there, he'd crash them past cover. He just got better and better and better. And if you look at his record now, he's averaging 60 in one-day international cricket with 43 centuries. He's averaging 49.35 in T20 cricket, okay?
It's incredible.
At a strike rate of 135, he is probably the greatest white ball cricket batsman in the history of the game. If you just see numbers, and yeah, Sachin has got 49 centuries, he's still got a few to go. But this man, does he think he's 6 centuries are going to stop him? Plus the number of innings that he's played chasing, the number of hundreds that he's made chasing targets, there's just nobody in the game close to him.
You know, I did an interview with him during Champions Trophy 2017, and I asked him, was maths one of your favorite subjects? Because the way you chase down targets, the way you sort of see it in your head, he's like, look, maths and I were never made to happen, but the way I see targets, it just works very quick. It comes naturally to me, and then he just takes it on. The pressure of the chase just doesn't show in his approach.
Everything in life, I suppose, context. That we were talking football off here, all of us, right? Talking about football and trying to say, well, you know what, the context of this and the context of that in comparison of players. For Virat Kohli, I think the context is there's a game to win. What do I have to do in order to win this game? for the team. And that's generally how he works. And when that's in front of him, absolutely loves the challenge. Right from the start, what's in front, how do I become an Indian player, a Team India mainstay, one of the guys in, despite who's there, I've got to get runs. He's just continued to get runs, and it's never changed for him. So, yeah, he's just, we're talking with Gaurav, I think, in game one to say there's some guys who see a challenge or situation is more difficult, and that's when they stand up. India are lucky to have a guy like that when it comes to chasing down scores, which look rather tough.
It's a very interesting thing, and I've often thought about this. First inning scorers versus second inning scorers.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of guy who likes to score the 360 and put it out of reach in a 50-over game? Or are you the guy who likes to chase down 320 and do it? And it's interesting for me that if you see his record, Virat's record chasing is actually better. So when the goal is absolutely focused, he's actually laser sharp then. Whereas a lot of players, and a very good example of this used to be Sehwag. Sehwag's test, if you see Sehwag's test career, his first innings batting average versus his second innings batting average. His second innings dropped off dramatically because he was the guy who'd set targets.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, context.
2200s for Virender Sehwag first innings and just 100 in the second innings. So that sort of sums up the point for you.
Yeah, and also I suppose we're going to delve into a whole
Pressure.
lot here. Not so much pressure, but condition of the wickets and so on. And some might sit there and think that, more difficult when it's first innings because it's a fresh wicket and it might seem around and all the rest. And I appreciate that. Yes, it is difficult. But there's a trueness to the wicket at that time than there is when you come back second time around, new ball on day number 3 or day number 4, where the bounce isn't as true and it's a little bit more difficult to, hit through the line and so forth. There's, you have to kind of apply yourself differently. So he preferred it when he knew what was happening, and yes, it was swinging around, but he put pressure on the bowler and therefore made the bowler miss a whole lot more. And there's less that the guy has to do when it comes to the second innings because it'll happen, wherever he kind of bowls it.
Also the fact that, Joy, that this guy backs his game to the hilt, So the norm in 2020 cricket is if you're getting a 4, you're getting a 4, you go after the bowler. He gets a 4, he'll take a single. He gets a 4, he'll get a double. He'll give that much value to the singles and the doubles as he's giving to the or probably more to the singles.
I think he's learned from the best. In that sense, Dhoni was a relentless runner between wickets. And I think that's one thing he's schooled in so perfectly. He runs, he doesn't give you a break. He doesn't give you that break and doesn't give you that opportunity to rest. He'll push the fielders, he'll push himself, and he's always there. And see, those are players who are difficult because they're always hustling.
Yeah.
You can't stop with these guys, and that's really important for India as a team. And just look at the way he finishes games. There's a certain calmness that he brings to his finish. I mean, as I said, he's absolutely right. Sometimes, even despite all we say about him, maybe we just don't appreciate, don't think we enjoy him enough as much as we should. We are watching possibly one of the greatest batsmen, possibly the greatest white ball cricketer in the game, and we just don't appreciate him enough.
Big words there, of course, for Virat Kohli. Now, another batsman who was under quite a lot of pressure before this game, and that is Shikhar Dhawan, getting 40-odd runs and getting out to possibly the catch of the match by David Miller. But good innings there by Shikhar Dhawan, looked in good full flow.
Yeah, I mean, what we talk about at the start, we spoke about aggression. We spoke that's what came out of the India camp with regard to how the openers are going to try and play. And remember, we're saying let's put it in context in that depends what situation is and what is required. To just go and show aggression for aggression's sake is not necessary. And he played it exactly how he should. Pierce the gaps at the beginning. Didn't look a guy who'd been away for a long time, he just seemed in fine enough touch. Pitch looked good, actually.
Yeah.
And I think it helped both Rohit, even though Rohit didn't get too many away, he hit the 2 sixes and then got out. But it helped them that there was pace from both ends. So Rabada and Nortje bowling, there's not a whole lot of thinking, and both would have seen this many times before, Rohit and Shikhar. And so, yeah, just bat along, take what you can get, and with the pace that's there, they know they just only have to find the gap, and away it goes before. I think he played well, and yeah, that catch was special.
Oh, this is a special guy. A word on South Africa's bowling, Joy. A bit too repetitive, would you say?
I think Pommie made the point up front that, maybe they should have bought in the left arm spinner and at least given them a different look, given them something to think about. The other is that in a match that you've lost and, fairly early on, 15th, 16th over, you're going down because you're not getting wickets. I can't see Rabada not finishing his spell because there's no point keeping him for the 20th. I didn't see the point of that at all. I would have probably used him more, but it's also Quinton de Kock's. I mean, it's just the start of his captaincy, international captaincy career. So it might be a bit hard on him at this point in time. But yeah, I think he could have attacked earlier, given that the situation was already going out of hand.
Yeah, the reality is that you're not going to defend 149 on a good pitch. And so, you asked how would you want to use Rabada, and the thinking is certainly you want to have a threat all the way through your innings, and so some way of trying to take wickets all the way through. And at the start, I also said Bjorn Fortuin, his forte, I didn't do that on purpose. Actually, just
you had to.
I didn't actually. It just came to me then. But what he does well and what he's known for is being able to bowl with the new ball up at the front. So it might well have been a good idea to try and mix and match with regard to spin and pace, just to see what you have. I mean, as I say, pace on the ball, the guys are able to just whack it all over the place. And in fact, you actually saw it when Phehlukwayo came into the attack. He took pace off. That's what he does. He varies absolutely everything. And it made it then a bit more difficult for the batsmen in that they had to try and figure out, is this the fast one, is it not? And I think it also then just lengthens your bowling lineup. If you have Fortuin, and look, he can go first up. He'd be nervous. It's his first game. But he's used to bowling in the power play. And he has a right-hander to work with. Not that he'd be looking to spin it with the new one because it's quite slippery and they seem quite proud. So he's trying to bowl stump to stump and just trying to work with his length and make sure that he's kind of ahead of the two batsmen at the start. And he's good at that. It does decently. And going for 32 in his four, he's kind of done okay. But then if you have Rabada, Fortuin, let's say it goes well because you don't necessarily plan for it going badly, then you've got Nortje to come, and so there's always pace in the attack. So let's say 2 for Rabada, and then 2 for Fortuin, or 3 for Fortuin, then Phehlukwayo, and Nortje coming in here for 2 as well. So you're constantly sort of going at India, and maybe that gives you more of a chance. Perhaps we'll see that sort of thing when you get to game 3. But yeah, I'd like to see the lengthening or, the spreading out of the bowling attack.
Now, something that's possibly going to be a national debate for the next 3 days is Rishabh Pant. Was that shot careless or was that shot fearless? Because if you take a look at that shot was there to hit. The execution just did not come through. So at the end of the day, you're left asking, careless or fearless?
I mean, there's so much debate on it. I personally feel that I think we're putting this young man under too much of a microscope. It was a ball to be hit. He managed to hit it to the one fielder who was there, mistimed it as well. But I don't think that ball was there to be hit. I mean, there's no reason for him not to have hit that ball, and it's just bad execution. It can happen. Look, I think you have to, if you have a talent like Rishabh Pant, you have to give him. You can't put him under a microscope all the time. He's developing. He's constantly building as a player. I think we look at him too much. I don't know.
Yeah, the interesting chat has been opportunities and how many you're going to get and whether you're going to get a whole lot or not. And I think you made the point actually to say, look, in India, there are so many people playing the game, populations of, nearly 1.5 billion. If you can be guaranteed X number of opportunities.
Yeah, this is what you had to say, Pommie. This is what you're referring to. We're very clear on the fact that even when I came into the team, it's not like you got 15 opportunities, you will get 5 and you have to make the most of it. And that's the level that we're playing at. I think the individuals coming in need to have that mindset. The guys who grab the opportunities quickly, they grab the opportunities. It is as simple as that.
But hey, you're talking about a guy who scored a test century in Australia. He scored a test century in England, who's played fair amount of match-winning knocks. So opportunity he's already grabbed. Today you'll turn around and say, is this shot selection good enough? He's already proved to you that he's plays out there. Because in the history of Indian cricket, you do not have a wicketkeeper who scored Test centuries in Australia and England. So he's already shown you he has the talent. The question you have now is that, is he doing justice to his talent? Is he throwing his wicket away? And I think, so these are two very different things. What Virat was talking about was opportunities at the start of your career. When you're saying, okay, I'll have 5 opportunities. It's past. Rishabh Pant is not at the start of his career. We all recognize his opportunity. Now, you might turn around and say that his path to greatness or his path to maturity is not what you think it should be. But that's a different discussion. It's not about saying, Rishabh, you miss one more, you're going to drop him. You can't. He's just way too talented as a batsman for you to do that.
Yeah.
The quote there was not really in particular on Rishabh Pant. I think it was more on the other young boys who are coming into T20 cricket, like Joy mentioned.
Correct. I agree with that. And I think they're separate discussions. So the initial point is the opportunity side where, you're getting a chance. And if you can be guaranteed five goals, then you take that. So if you're 19 years old and you've kind of gone through the ranks and someone says you're going to get 5 goals to try and establish yourself or show that you have some talent, and there is a reason why you should remain in the Indian side, you take that every day. You take one chance, right? Everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, because nobody is guaranteed any chances whatsoever. So that's fair enough. I, however, think that the numbers, the 15 and the 5, just like the word aggressive when we started the program, shouldn't be taken as,
Sacrosanct,
Yeah, sacrosanct. This is the number 5 or 15. No, they're just numbers to say, well, yeah, there are a few games you get, and we're going to stick with a guy for a few games to see what he can do, because it's not fair on the guy to give him less games. And that number may be 7, it may be 9, it may be 11, it may be 25. You don't know what the number is. And in essence, you could stick with a guy for 5 games, and I'm just using the number 5, and in the 5 games, you see something, right, that says he has something which can be used within this team, that this team needs. So you go with him. He then plays 5 more games, and you try to develop whatever that something is in terms, and this is not taking away the responsibility of the player of making himself the player that is required. Your currency is runs, it's wickets, it's, that's just what it is. That's the nature of professional sport. But in terms of whether you show it or you don't show it, that's going to determine whether you get the next opportunity and the next one and the next one, because the team recognizes that they need you. When it comes to Rishabh Pant, there are many teams out there who'll say, if you don't want him, India, give him to us.
How would you?
Because he's magnificent.
But how would you handle him, Pommie? Because these discussions that they're saying right now, careless, fearless, when Ravi Shastri is talking to the host broadcaster, I'm sure these discussions have happened indoors. A long time back, they've been talking to him like this. The fact that they're coming out in the media is that they're trying to send him a message, get the glare on him.
So, yeah, I don't think you should get it twisted or anything. He knows the message. So there's no coach out there, there's no captain out there who's going to first speak to the media and tell the world what they think before they tell the player. No ways. That's not going to happen. If that happens, well, there's a problem within the camp. So he knows exactly what's going to be said. And you know what? Many a time there's, don't worry about it. It's press. We're just talking to them. Don't worry about them. You know what you need to do. Do what you need to do. Right? And in the end, it translates to 300, it translates to 100, it translates to a winning 60 or 70. And this is in Test, in one days, and in 2020. That's just what it is, And he's a good player. There's no question about that. No question.
Again, I mean, we go back to the whole thing. See, you have so little time as a batsman to judge a ball. You have to play an instinct. You have to play the ball the way you play a ball. Okay, nobody can teach you that, because the reason why you're so skilled at doing it is because that's the reason you're in the Indian team right now. So what he can't do is that he can't basically start second guessing himself. And I don't think that he's in a situation, because then that rare talent that he has is gone. That extra fraction that he has to see the ball and hit the ball is gone. So I think that's what I'm saying. They probably exactly that. They'll probably say, be careful. So look, there's certain things that coaches will be very strong about. You've got to be fit enough. and coaches can be hard on that because they know that this is it. But to tell a batsman, choose like this, no coach is going to do that to you, not at the Indian team level.
And let's make sure that we're giving credence to the understanding of Kohli and Shastri, right? If you look at the way they are just as people in terms of the game, back yourself, both are exactly the same, by the way. Back yourself, do what you think. Essentially, you must be answerable for what you do, right? And Rishabh's got to be exactly the same way. To this point, it's been absolutely fine. And I say absolutely fine. Yeah, there are little blips along the way where you'd like him to get to 100 instead of get to 67 and let someone else finish off the game, give the opposition a bit of a go. But he's got to 67 playing that way, and he's just forgotten to change down. You know, and then I say just, when you're 22, 23 years old, you're going to make mistakes. And in life, in cricket, in soccer, in rugby, no matter what you're doing, when you're 22 and 23 years old, that's going to happen. But the time will come, and India would like it to be sooner rather than later, where you're no longer looking at the exuberance of youth, but you're looking at a seasoned pro who understands, who knows, who kind of is more judicious in the way that he goes about things. It will come. If it never does, you know what? You probably still take what he gives right now. Yeah, that's what I think. I think there's the body of work that is present is still a match-winning body of work for the Indian cricket team. So what you'd like, remember I said before, we're sometimes got to try and not get too greedy. There is a development that happens in a player, even the really good ones. Virat Kohli from the start to Virat Kohli now. It's not the same player. It's a guy who's developed along some timeline and got better and better and better. And that's what we'd like for Rishabh. And perhaps he'll get there.
So Rishabh Pant didn't, of course, didn't get the runs on the night, but Virat Kohli did get a 72. And my guess is you had picked Virat Kohli in your My 11 Circle team. I mean, what a joke. If you've got Virat Kohli playing, of course you're picking Virat Kohli in your My 11 Circle team. Let's take a look at our My 11 Circle ultimate team of the day. Virat Kohli, Quinton de Kock, Shikhar Dhawan, David Miller for that catch, I'm guessing. Fortune, Shamsi, Deepak Chahar, Fekhlukwayo got that 1 wicket, Chahar got 2 wickets, Saini got the 1 wicket, Ravindra Jadeja too got a wicket, and Temba Bavuma impressed everyone with his knock of 49.
How useless was I today? I was actually, if you went with me, I'm terribly, so I have to apologize. I told you to pick Hardik Pandya. Oh man, he wouldn't have got you any points, would he? And look, your day.
Tomorrow's yours.
Wow,
Sunday's
your
yours.
Time now
day.
for our My 11 Circle champion of the day. And who is our champion of the day? Malika Arjun Ramana from Daman. Congratulations, my friend. 466.5 points. All right, now, of course, attention moves to the third T20 International, which is taking place in Bengaluru on Sunday, the 22nd of September. Just the fact that the first T20 has been rained out, you suppose changes would be made from an Indian point of view?
I really don't know. I mean, look, if you've given Chahar a ball, you've got to give him another ball.
Yeah.
Okay, Navdeep Saini is also just coming. It's not that he's got a whole amount of work to do. So I really don't see them making too many changes out here for the sake, and they'd like to win this series. Why leave it 1-1 when they can do it 2-0? And I think as I was saying, in the past year and a half, they haven't really focused on T20s. They've been the sort of rump of the Indian batting. They've not thought about it too much. I think this season they want to say, let's win these as well.
I tell you what, I think it might be a good idea or a good opportunity to put the guys who haven't played under the same sort of pressure. So because you've had one game rained out and there is a series you must try and win, it's a rare opportunity where instead of playing 2 and winning them and then there's 1 to go and there's really nothing riding on the game, and when I say nothing, yes, you want to win, but you're not going to lose the series. Here is a case where, hold on, you play, you must win because you're going to win the series. Yeah, so same pressures. And that's how you want to test guys. You don't want to test them where it's all cushy and it's nice and there's nothing riding on it. So I think it's a great opportunity for India.
Who would you play then, for me?
Oh,
Who would go out? Who would?
yeah, that's not so
of
much.
course, not keeping in mind the conditions. Just
Yeah, so that's not. I don't think that's necessarily important. I'm just saying, it's not a so and so played badly and so you're playing this one. It's just a case of these guys have had a go and this was good, this was whatever it was, and here we go. Let's play the leggy, for instance.
I would play the leggy.
Rahul Chahar.
You know,
Instead of 2 left-arm spinners, I'd play 1 leggy at least.
Yeah.
Maybe my batting's a bit shorter, but hey, I'd take that chance.
So Manish Pandey doesn't play any part in this T20.
Perhaps you get him in as well, but where you'd probably want to drop an experienced guy to have him come in. I don't know. Hardik hasn't played a whole lot, so you probably want to play him anyway. He's not involved in the tests either.
Yeah.
Khalil Ahmed, you know, he's young and up and coming. They think a lot of him. You probably want him to have a go. There are a certain number of games till you get to that 2020 World Cup. So if you're able to have a situation where pressure also applies, I think use that opportunity. And it's not to say because you play these other guys, you're saying that you lose the game. No, it's not necessarily, because everybody who's in that squad, in whatever squad that ends up being in Australia, needs to be capable of winning the game for India. And that is performing under pressure. It's always there, so here we are, get in.
Get in, My 11 Circle. Now, of course, what you've got to do is get onto the my11circle.com. And if you've got to make your team, of course, so you go on my11circle.com and you download the app, My 11 Circle app. And that, of course, is how you can do it. Step 1, get on my11circle.com, download the app. Step 2 is coming up, select a match. Create your own team, and which means if you win, and if you win Saurav Ganguly's, if you beat Saurav Ganguly's teams, you win 3 times more cash. Gentlemen, before we sign off, anything else you'd like to say? South African team, anything for them from third T20?
I think they'll be disappointed. I think they'll be disappointed in how it went. But that said, I think essentially it's not something we didn't really foresee. In having just the 5 batsmen, they kind of boxed themselves into a situation where, they were saying, right, 3 games where these guys are the ones who are going to have to do it. And you're asking, for instance, of Themba Bavuma to play kind of outside himself and above himself in an international where he's got to come and try and reinvent himself once again, because what he felt was sufficient at domestic level may not quite be sufficient here at international level. And it might warrant, as I said, after the batting performance, that he actually starts up at the front and you swap it around and have maybe Reza Hendricks be the one who goes to 3. Didn't get runs from Van der Dussen, and they desperately need those. As you look at that, Quinton de Kock, Rassie van der Dussen, David Miller, they're key men in that batting line. If they don't score, then you don't see how South Africa get their run. So that makes it tough. And looking ahead to Australia next year, 2020, you're saying, okay, which direction is South Africa going? They decided that, Faf du Plessis isn't in this side and shouldn't be in this side. Is that a kind of permanent scenario, or isn't it? Are they checking what they have and what they don't have? Because he's still a really good player. In 2 years' time, he probably will still be playing, definitely test matches, but also in his short formats of the game. So, yeah, it's something to ponder, and they'll have another look in game 3/2, and it'll help them, I think, to kind of go, okay, yeah, we need to bolster these parts.
There is a junior Dala there, and he's got a pretty good record versus Rohit Sharma. I think 6 innings, he's got him out thrice or something like that.
See, Junior, he's a decent bowler now, but I don't really think the South African problem is bowling. I think their problem is that their batting is not coming through. They don't have enough, run-hungry batsmen, as they say. And they've just got 5 batsmen, so they've not much. And the quality of their all-rounders, you're talking about a country that's produced the likes of Klusner, Sean Pollock, Jacques Kallis. They're top-quality all-rounders. I think we don't really, Brian McMillan, we don't have that quality of all-rounder. These guys still aren't there. They're slightly more bits and pieces than you'd like of, the genuine all-rounders. So I think that's the thing, that, lack of quality, that many quality batsmen, lack of quality all-rounders. And I don't think the bowling is the problem for South Africa at this point in time, though they are missing Tahir, of course. But yeah, bowling is not their main issue.
Sorry. Before sort of shifting of. It might be unfair a little bit to say leadership is also something that ought to be looked at, and it's the other aspect with which they miss a Faf du Plessis, because, and it's hard to say that when there's just 149 runs on the board, but just the way to conduct things in terms of trying to win a game with captaincy, you need experience. And yes, South Africa look and say at some point they're going to have to shift away from the guy, but the guys who have been captains are not around, you know, and I'm talking Aiden Markram, who might make a 2020 side anyway, and Faf du Plessis, of course, and in the side, his vice captain at the moment is Rassie van der Dussen, but I don't know about his captaincy credentials because he doesn't captain the Lions when he plays. So, you know, it's an area in which many teams are able to pull games, you know, out the fire, and is important, and particularly in trying to establish some sort of ethos for a side. And South Africa clearly in transition and needing that side of things also to be checked.
What's the correct number then, Pommie, to judge a captain? A captain who's doing it for the very first time. 3 series, 4 series?
Oh, I don't think you can.
Because T20 is something so tactical, and you know you're playing such a huge role in that game.
So often you watch a guy work for few games, and by a few games I'll say 4, 5, 6 games, similar sort of games. And you can tell whether he's got a feel for what's going on or doesn't quite, you know, or if he's being formulaic and just goes to this one, then to that one, and changes if this one gets hit. And he's never really ahead of the game or never really trying to be ahead of the game, then you can see that sort of thing. But after a single game where you don't have runs on the board and you choose this way and it doesn't work, you can't really judge from that. But I'm just saying, as a part of the game and as a part of a squad, leadership and tactical awareness and on the field tactics are going to be important, and it's an area that they must address as well, having decided that du Plessis shouldn't be here.
Right, now of course, time to tell you who our winner of the Joy Factor is. Let's just show you what the question was. First and foremost, Joy Bhattacharya had posed this question for all you guys. Which cricketer was the first to make his international debut in an ICC tournament final? He hit a 6 off the second ball he faced. And the correct answer is Yusuf Pathan, 2007 ICC T20 final. So I have to ask you, where do you get all these questions from, firstly? Is there a booklet or something?
I wish there was a book. No, nothing.
Moral of the story, you should write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, quiz book.
Time to write a quiz book. Actually, I've written 3 quiz books, but not on cricket specifically.
Yeah, there you go.
Written a quiz book on sport, but no, these are just, as I said, and the great thing about it is every day, and this is an easier question, we have thrown the toughest of questions at these guys, and you'll be amazed. You said, this one's not going to come back, this one's not going to get answered. They get answered every time. I don't know how they do it.
I've been telling
only twice has it not been answered.
Yeah, only twice. So have you already sort of sorted your question out for the third T20?
No, I like to play it by close to the edge.
Yeah. Joy Bhattacharya and Pommie Mbangwa, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, have to tell you who the winner is of the Joy Factor. The winner of the Joy Factor is coming your way right now. And Rohit Yadav, congratulations.
Who's won it for the 373rd time.
Oh, he's a regular feature?
Yeah. And
well, there's a clue in his name. His handle.
Yeah, he's really...
At Crick Rohit.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of good guys, but he's not just good, he's extremely fast. So for a long time, Robin Uttappa used to sit out here and he had this theory that he was my alter ego. Basically, I go there and I become Clark Kent and Superman. So I'm actually, I become super answerer Crick Rohit after a while, but that's not true. Crick Rohit exists and he's very good at this, much better than me actually.
Crick Rohit, I doubt you're going to be sleeping tonight, buddy, after all the things people have been saying about you. Congratulations, keep those answers coming in. Pommie, Joy, thank you so much for joining us on My 11 Circle Presents Cricbuzz Live, and we of course will join you on Sunday, which will see the third and final T20 taking place between India and South Africa. 6:30 p.m. is when we're going to be coming your way. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.